It's time for Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt. Todd Marquardt, attorney at law in Texas. If you're a millionaire or a thousandaire, Talk Law Radio is now on the air. Call in with your business law question, your elder law question, veteran aid, Medicaid, build a business to get paid. 210-308-8867. Or ask a question online at marquardtlawfirm.com. That's MARQUARDT lawfirm.com. And now it's Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt, on the radio, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on talklawradio.com. Today we're going to be talking about hemp in Texas. You know, a long time ago they legalized hemp in Texas, and then we saw stores pop up around the city in San Antonio and Houston and all over Texas where they sell hemp derivatives for the purpose of getting people high. I don't think that was the purpose in the Texas Farm Bill to create that new industry, but that's what happened. And as of July 31st, there are certain hemp products like Delta-8 and Delta-10 that are going to become Schedule I drugs under Texas law. But at the same time, the Federal Justice Department is moving to reclassify medical marijuana as a Schedule III drug. So there's sort of a conflicting regulations happening on the same time. So I thought you should know about it. So this is a hidden legal issue blind spot because it's not widely reported in the news. So you should listen to Talk Law Radio every Sunday afternoon. But did you know that I also have a show on Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock in the morning on KLUP 9:30 a.m., KSLR 6:30 a.m. in San Antonio, also 1070 KNTH and 103.3 FM in Houston, Texas. And breaking news, I'm also going to be on KKNT in Houston. So we're expanding, and you can listen in any number of different ways. Excuse me. I wanted to let you know about this new regulation in Texas about Texas hemp. So back in 2019 in the Texas Farm Bill, the legislature legalized Delta-8 THC and adopted a near-identical definition of hemp and deleted hemp and the THC in hemp from the list of controlled substances under the Texas Controlled Substances Act. The term marijuana now does not include hemp. That's under Texas Health and Safety Code Section 481.002, and the term controlled substance now does not include hemp or the THC in hemp. Under Texas law, hemp means the plant Cannabis sativa L, and any part of that plant, including the seeds of the plant and all derivatives, extracts, cannabinoids, isomers, acids, salts, and salts of isomers, whether growing or not, with a Delta-9 THC concentration of not more than 0.3% on a dry weight basis. That's in the Texas Agricultural Code. Now let's talk about the Sky Marketing case. This is a decision that was made in May 2026, and it changed something. So that you need to know about this. This is what I talk about on Talk Law Radio. I like to talk about the laws, regulations, and court cases that affect you. So go to YouTube, search for Talk Law Radio, look for the Lady Justice and the red, white, and blue logo, and click subscribe so that you can get notified when I post new episodes. In fact, you can go there and look for this video, and you can comment on whether you think that the court case made the right decision, whether Texas or the federal government should legalize marijuana altogether, that's what's going to upset people, right? Is that they're not going to be able to get high anymore. I was talking to a friend of mine just a few minutes ago who told me that hemp was grown near Uvalde in World War II times to make rope. I think maybe that's more of the purpose of the Texas Farm Bill, was so that farmers could grow hemp and then it could be used to manufacture clothes. I remember when this law was passed in 2019 in the Texas Farm Bill, you would see ads on Facebook for clothing that was made from hemp, and people thought that was really neat. So what happened? Why are things changing now? Well, Delta-8 THC is a naturally occurring psychoactive compound found in exceedingly trace amounts in the cannabis plant and therefore unable to produce any real or measurable psychoactive effect if consumed in its natural form. But here's what happened. Technological developments now make it possible to create artificial products containing a high concentration of manufactured Delta-8 THC, more than enough to create the high experienced by users of marijuana. So that was an unintended result of the Texas Farm Bill of 2019 that the state of Texas wanted to correct. Businesses that developed these products claim that the legislature opened the market for them in 2019. So when the state of Texas attempted to clarify that, the legislature did not greenlight potent levels of manufactured Delta-8 in consumable hemp products. A group of businesses and consumers petitioned the court and wanted an order to cause the state of Texas to rewrite the schedules of controlled substances, primarily on the ground that the legislature legalized Delta-8 THC. And here's what the court said in the Sky Marketing case. If the legislature desires to legalize powerful drugs, it has every tool it needs to do so. Under the Texas Controlled Substances Act, the state of Texas has discretion to include manufactured Delta-8 THC as a controlled substance. So that's the court case that said that the state of Texas was within its right to effectively outlaw Delta-8 THC. So here's where we get into some of the details between federal law and Texas law. So now I'm going to talk about federal law. In August 2020, the Federal Drug Enforcement Administration issued a rule that amended the scope of substances falling within the federal definition of Schedule I marijuana extract and clarified that hemp-derived extracts containing less than 0.3% of THC content were decontrolled along with the hemp plant itself. That's a rule that was implemented according to the Agriculture Improvement Act of 2018. Back in Texas, this is now Texas law, the commissioner objected to those Drug Enforcement Administrative modification to the extent that the definitions allowed for the presence or addition of THC aside from the presence of Delta-9 THC. I've introduced a couple of terms that you might not be familiar with, Delta-8 and Delta-9, and so I'll talk about the differences between those compounds in just a moment. The Commissioner of Health and Safety in Texas objected, under which federal actions are automatically incorporated into Texas law unless the commissioner timely objects. She gave notice of her objection It was posted to the department's website in September 2020, and she held a public hearing the next month, but the department received no comments at the hearing or in writing. In October 2021, the department announced on its website that Texas Health and Safety Code Chapter 443, established by House Bill 1325 of the 86th Legislature, allows consumable hemp products in Texas that do not exceed 0.3% of Delta-9 THC. All other forms of THC, including Delta-8 in any concentration and Delta-9 exceeding 0.3%, are considered Schedule I controlled substances. So this is the rule change that the group of businesses and consumers petitioned the court in the Sky Marketing case to overrule, to decide that it was a void rule, and the court found that the commissioner could make that change. So remember just a minute ago I mentioned that the federal government was going to make plans to move medical marijuana from Schedule I to Schedule III. And so that sort of conflicts with what the state of Texas is doing, making hemp THC more restrictive, and the federal government is making medical marijuana less restrictive. The Justice Department in April 2026 said that this only applies to medical programs. The marijuana, including extracts and naturally derived Delta-9 THC that is produced, handled, or dispensed under that medical license, is what they want to move to Schedule 3. So don't get excited because this hasn't happened yet. I'm just telling you it's on the horizon. But as of July 31st here in Texas, you're not going to be able to buy Delta-8 THC hemp products. So I hope I'm not confusing you. I think that hemp and medical marijuana are similar enough to bring this issue to the forefront. The practical effect of changing the federal rules is that operators holding a qualifying state medical marijuana license can use an expedited DEA registration process. They can submit their existing state medical license as conclusive evidence of state law authorization. Once registered, they can operate under Schedule 3 rules, and so that's going to make it easier. But it does not mean that recreational marijuana becomes legal under federal law. This is for medical purposes. But that's the slippery slope, I think, to making marijuana legal or decriminalized or some variation of that. So does that upset you? Do you think that marijuana should be legal or decriminalized? Or do you think that it's harmful to our children and society? Go to YouTube, search for Talk Law Radio, find this video about Texas hemp, and post a comment. Let's have a discussion and talk about what the effects might be. Is your Delta-8 stock illegal? Yes. As of July 31st, manufactured Delta-8 hemp products will be prohibited in Texas. Following the decision of the Texas Supreme Court in the Sky Marketing case, Texas Department of State Health Services is reinstating rules that reclassify non-Delta-9 THC isomers as controlled substances. Retailers must remove manufactured Delta-8, Delta-10, and THCP products from store shelves. I'll talk about what the differences are of those things in just a moment. Isomers other than Delta-9 THC 0.3% are treated as Schedule I controlled substances. What remains legal? Ingestible and topical hemp products containing 0.3% or less of compliant Delta-9 THC remain legal. So here's a comparison. I talked about Delta-9, Delta-8, and THCP. Let's go through them. Delta-9 THC is the classic main psychoactive compound in cannabis. It has moderate to strong effects. Most people know. It's naturally abundant in the plant. It's legal in Texas only if it's 0.3% in a hemp product. Now, Delta-8 THC, a close cousin of Delta-9. Usually milder, clearer high with less anxiety for many users. Almost all of it is made in a lab from CBD. As of July 31st, manufactured Delta-8 is now a Schedule I substance in Texas. THCP is the new, more intense player. Research suggests it can be significantly stronger than Delta-9. Some studies say 5 to 30 times more potent. It exists naturally only in tiny amounts. Nearly all commercial THCP is lab-made. Also treated as Schedule I in Texas as of July 31st. Bottom line for you, Delta-9 under 0.3% can still be legal and compliant hemp products. Manufactured Delta-8 and THCP are now controlled substances in Texas. Here's more about the federal shift moving medical marijuana from Schedule I to Schedule III and how that might clash with Texas. Partial federal rescheduling, medical only, reduces 280E tax exposure for qualifying medical operators and eases research, but does nothing for Texas hemp retailers or adult use. The Texas ban is administrative. I told you about the change in definitions. It's not a new statute criminalizing possession of federally legal hemp per se. The 2018 Farm Bill has limited express preemption, interstate transport, plus a savings clause allowing stricter state production regulation. So that tends to show that Texas can do what it did. It's making Delta-8 Schedule I. So we talked about preemption, but what about these businesses in Texas that were selling Delta-8 products, and now they're not allowed to sell it? Is that going to devalue the inventory that they have and devalue their business? And if so, is that a taking without compensation? Is the business taking something from them? And remember, the last legislative session, the Texas legislature tried to ban this legislatively. But states do retain the police power over public health and safety concerns, and courts have largely deferred to states on these types of laws. The practical reality for businesses is that even strong constitutional claims take years and do not stop immediate enforcement. So I'm just bringing these issues to your attention because in the beginning, God had one law: don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then he gave Moses the 10 Commandments. And now we have municipal, state, and federal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws that impact you without you knowing it. So listen to Talk Law Radio on KLUP 930 AM on Sundays at 4:30 in the afternoon for sure, but also listen Saturdays at 11 o'clock in the morning. And I talk about all kinds of things, including constitutional law, hemp law, also estate planning law, because a major sponsor of our show is Marquardt Law Firm, and attorneys at Marquardt Law Firm focus on business and estate law, including last wills, living trusts, and tax-protected inheritance plans. It's all about legacy. If you want an estate planning attorney, call 210-530-4278. That's 210-530-4278, and schedule an appointment, and an attorney will talk to you to find out your goals and concerns and let you know if we're able to help. Back to the issue at hand, the Texas hemp regulations are changing as of July 31st. So if you own one of these businesses that was selling Delta-8 THC, here's what you might want to know. Processing or manufacturing a consumable hemp product for smoking is prohibited by Texas Health and Safety Code 443.204. So hemp in vape form is prohibited. Selling or distributing a product with more than trace cannabinoids without the required labeling. The statute requires batch information, manufacturer identification, a certificate of analysis link, and a certification that Delta-9 THC does not exceed 0.3%. A violation that also constitutes an unlawful act under the Texas Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act is generally a Class A misdemeanor for the first offense and a state jail felony for repeat conviction. Transporting hemp plant material without the required documentation is a misdemeanor punishable by a fine of up to $1,000, and a separate civil penalty may apply as well. Falsifying hemp shipping certificate and cargo manifest or a required hemp lab report with intent to deceive is a third-degree felony under the Texas Agriculture Code enacted in HB 1325. The key question is not whether the derivative is Delta-8, CBD, or another hemp cannabinoid, but whether it is derived from legally compliant hemp and satisfies Texas Delta-9 THC 0.3% threshold. A non-compliant product may be treated under the controlled substance or marijuana statutes depending on its composition. How does this affect your estate plan for hemp industry founders? Well, the Texas Civil Asset Forfeiture Code of Criminal Procedure Chapter 59 allows seizure of property used in or proceeds from the Controlled Substances Act felonies, even without conviction. Controlled substances plants property can also be summarily forfeited, destroyed under Texas Health and Safety Code provisions. So you need to know that inventory that becomes Schedule 1 is now high-risk contraband as of July 31st. Business bank accounts, vehicles, real property used in distribution, and even personal assets purchased with proceeds can be targeted. So this could affect your estate plan because it affects your money, your wallet, your property. So comply with the law. Contact an attorney if you have questions. This is just general information, not legal advice that's specific to your situation. Now, how does this affect users, consumers that might use hemp products? If you have a compliant hemp derivative, there's no criminal penalty for possession. Texas excludes compliant hemp and the tetrahydrocannabinoids in hemp from its controlled substance definition. If the product is not compliant hemp, for example, it exceeds the lawful Delta-9 THC limit, the hemp exclusion does not apply. If it's treated as marijuana, possession is charged under Texas Health and Safety Code 481.121 with penalties based on the quantity possessed from a Class B misdemeanor for 2 ounces or less through a first-degree felony for more than 2,000 pounds. Holy cow! Hemp-derived Delta-8 THC edibles and drinks remain legal in Texas, provided they contain less than 0.3 Delta-9 THC by dry weight. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Excuse me. Hope you enjoyed listening to Talk Law Radio today. Remember to go to YouTube, find this video, and comment. Let's have a discussion. I'm Todd Marquardt. This is Talk Law Radio. I'll talk to you later.